Welcome back to the Division 2. The servers right now are down for maintenance, and again it's on Tuesday, which is the reset for seasons. All of the new content comes out on a Tuesday, and as soon as it is released, we are unable to play it, or we can play it for half an hour, and then the servers go down for a 3-hour maintenance. I really don't know why they've decided to release new content to the game every week on the same day as they are doing maintenance for the game. I really think those days should be separated, but getting into the maintenance notes, you can see on the screen, there are some bug fixes coming today, and then there is some work they are doing during April. This is what they've got planned so far. So the bug fixes, they fixed an issue that caused the tip of the spear talent's aggressive recon and crossbow expert to trigger when standing inside a DZ safe house or DZ control point. They fixed an issue causing targeted loot to drop more than once when failing and retrying the target practice open world activity. They fixed an issue causing a player to receive self-damage when killing an enemy player affected by the full flag debuff. And they are fixing an issue causing no explosion to occur on downed players when an enemy player affected by the full flag debuff is downed. So there is absolutely nothing in that list to fix the fact that True Patriot doesn't actually award your allies bonus armor when you're running the debuffs. Because I've said this in a previous video, it works amazing for solo play, but when you're applying that debuff, I forget which colour it is, but once you apply it, your teammates and yourself should be receiving bonus armor, and it doesn't work for teammates. Even if you're shooting the enemies, your teammates are shooting the enemies, it doesn't work. They've also done a bit of game balancing. Lady Death will no longer enhance turret skills. For some reason, the talent on Lady Death actually boosted skill damage. But then it says that they're also working on title update 8.5. So we're going to jump straight into those patch notes as well. And it says right at the top, agents, as we talked about on State of the Game number 153, we are trying to give you some timelines on the issues we are currently working on and when we expect them to go out. As said on the show, our studio is mostly working from home, which has an impact on how quick we can create these fixes and have them tested and deployed, which I'm going to say straight up is a load of bollocks, because they can literally fix the DPS glitches whilst the world is on quarantine and lockdown and stuff. They can fix those damage glitches and DPS glitches in 24 hours, yet they can't fix the things that are legit breaking the game for players that are trying to do things how they're supposed to be done. But it says we are planning to release title update 8.5 to deploy further fixes in early April and are currently looking at the following changes. They want to fix an issue causing graphic issues and crashes on PC due to corrupted shader cache files. They're fixing an issue causing the loss of the Striker's gamble stacks or not being able to acquire them. They're fixing an issue causing agents to be unable to revive their teammates, and this one, through personal experience and first-hand experience, is not actually an issue reviving your teammates. It's all linked to the revive hive. The only time we've ever had the revive glitch is when a player goes down, they have the revive hive, it gets destroyed, or it just gives up because the revive hive is broken yet again. Once that happens, you'll be stuck on like a quarter bar or a health bar because it goes up in quarters until it reaches the end, like the fourth tick, and you'll be revived. If it gets destroyed, if it quits like reviving or whatever, you'll have that blue bar still there, and for some reason that's glitching out the revives and you're not able to revive your teammates. So they are fixing that, but at the same time they're not fixing the revive hive, so it's still going to be broken, meaning that even with this fix, if it doesn't do anything to the revive hive, which I highly doubt it will because they haven't stated it will, then it's not actually going to work. They're also fixing an issue causing the League UI to completely reset, which I suppose is a good thing for those of us playing the seasons, like the weekly content that comes out with it. But again, it's focusing on the wrong things because nobody cares about a UI glitch. It's the things that are stopping us being able to play the game and have fun whilst we're playing it. It does state underneath that the challenges will still reset for week 2, which will allow you to continue your progress if you don't understand that part of it. Basically, with the leagues, they run for 2 weeks, and after the first week, they will reset all of the progress besides your rewards. So, if you've obtained 50 stages, then during week 2, instead of having to get 54, you'll only need to get 4 stages complete to get your exotic cash. That's how it's supposed to work, although I've had comments of people saying that it doesn't work like that at all, and all of their progress got reset. So I think there are more bugs within that the devs aren't aware of. Then we have gameplay changes. Control points can now be reset by changing your global difficulty. I mean, I'm recording this on the 31st of March. If they release this on the 3rd of April, that will mean we've been an entire month since the expansion come out, and this is only just being a thing. They were supposed to reset from day one. Beforehand, the control points and the entire game world was fully simulated. Trick Dempsey said that on a State of the Game, I believe it was him, said that it's fully simulated, so you will have a control point controlled by friendlies or allies, then you'll have enemies planning an attack from somewhere, they will send out attackers that will go and take over that control point, and then the friendlies do it all over again. That doesn't happen anymore, and enemies don't attack them, friendlies don't attack them randomly. You have to change your global difficulty, and that hasn't worked since Warlords came out. They have also stated here that changing directives will not reset control points, so you literally just have to change your global difficulty and then you can turn directives on and off as you please, and it won't affect the control points. Next up, we have some balance changes. For NPCs, the BTSU support station, they've reduced the ticking rate of support station healing. Elite support stations will only provide overheal once per NPC, capping the heal amount an NPC can receive from the support station, so they won't be healed anywhere near as much. That again shouldn't have been a thing, and if the devs actually tested what they work on, and even the people that aren't actually developing it, like Hamish, and there are a lot of other people probably within the studio that don't actually work directly developing the game, yet they should be playing it and telling the people that are working on it exactly what's going on. And Trick Dempsey said that during the league, the West Side one, that Heroic Roosevelt Island was tough, yet I don't know if they have their own build, which is a lot more polished than what we get given, but none of it works how these devs actually think it does. For the Warhounds, they've increased the intention icon duration to allow players more time to react to the wind-up. They reduced the 360 spin from Warhound minigun to 2 spins, down from 3. They've increased the wind-up warning of triple shot of the Warhound Grenadier, or the triple shoot as they're calling it. They've increased after shoot delay of triple shoot of Warhound Grenadier. I mean, this stuff reading it out's hurting my head. They've slightly increased the cooldown of moving shoot of Warhound Grenadier, so again, why so many times have they stated the word bloody shoot? That one sentence there, increasing after shoot delay of triple shoot of Warhound Grenadier. I don't know if that's me tripping. But moving on to the tank archetype reaction to the hives and the turrets, adding more distance checks so tanks don't rush at a hive next to a player. It's not just the tanks that have been doing that, it's the rushers, it's literally every faction and every single archetype. But they are also reducing the threat limit so tanks don't switch targets too suddenly. Is that really a big factor in people not having fun and the game being broken? Did that really need to be fixed? I mean, they're a tank. They should be switching targets instantly if they feel someone is a bigger threat to them. The Outcast Incendiaries and Molotovs, they're reducing the duration and tick damage slightly, so they're not reducing the spam of it at all. But they've stated with their comment that grenades are very strong compared to other factions' grenades, and this will bring them closer in line. If only they could do that with the damage the NPCs are dealing, the damage we're dealing, and all the other things that actually have importance in this game. Then moving on to the Pentagon bosses, reducing the drone helicopter health and damage. So apparently that's overpowered. They're slightly reducing the health and the armor for Brenner. I mean, DARPA's always been a nightmare to run. I don't know what it's like now. I've actually got some videos coming up, hopefully soon, of me running set missions people are asking me to run because apparently they're a nightmare. I don't know if any of you have tried it, but running the tanker mission with Vivian Conley in New York on Heroic in a 4-man group, there is a section you get to, I'd say it's fairly close to the end, where you have to use a makeshift bridge. There is literally a section where 8 heavies plus spawn out of this door. And apparently it's the same thing for players not in a 4-player group. Apparently running it solo on challenging difficulty is also spawning 3 heavies, with more coming out of the door once those die. They are reducing Brenner's mortar damage. I mean, you need to reduce the spam of the mortar, but 4 TU8, that was a nightmare. And they're decreasing the armor of John Architect Figs. With mortars, they're reducing the damage of mortars in Coney Island. They're increasing the delay between the UI warning and explosion damage of mortars in the Washington National Zoo. Shouldn't that be Manning National Zoo? I mean, there's a lot of mistakes in what the developers. I don't know who writes these, obviously, but it's not just these. It's in-game things. If you look at the Imperial Dynasty holster, just for some of you to have a little laugh with, it says that when you're running that holster, the enemy closest to you will be set on fire with a cooldown of however long it is. But instead of it saying closest, it says the enemy closet to you, and it's always stood out because me and the lads we've had such a laugh with that typo. Moving on to skills, the assault turret. They're improving the auto-targeting of the assault turret to better prioritise NPCs it can shoot and which are close to it. Again, I don't think the auto-targeting needs fixing. I think skills need overhauling all over again because I don't think any of the hives actually work. The revive hive keeps breaking. The booster hive I've heard isn't working. The restorer hive, a lot of the time it doesn't chuck out its whatever you want to call them. It doesn't throw the restoration bloody firefly things out of the fucking hive. It doesn't work. It's broken. The restorer hive doesn't actually heal players a lot of the time. With the assault drone, they're improving the behaviour to prevent the drone from becoming stuck. They're improving the consistency of firing and pathing. The poison status effect. They're reducing the tick interval, damage and duration. And then it says event with the damage reduction to enemy NPC's poison continues to be extremely strong. This nerf will alleviate this further. I mean, this poison sort of stuff is an absolute, I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to say nightmare again. Because when you run Federal Emergency Bunker, you have the enemies at the beginning of the mission, literally the first part where you have all them blue blocks. And when you take cover on one, it turns red. There are enemies there. I don't know what faction they are. If anyone does know, let me know in the comments. Because whilst we were doing the League, we were taking them enemies out and they didn't actually count as outcasts. So I don't actually have a clue which faction they are, but when they chuck when the elite essentially throws a grenade, some of them do come out and chuck throwing knives into your face, but when they throw grenades, they insta-down you. You can't avoid it. You could possibly have 100% hazard protection or whatever. You could be fully resistant to that stuff and it'd still kill you. It's stupidly overpowered. And then moving on, additionally we are planning another update that is currently scheduled for a later time in April, but please keep in mind that we might need to adjust that schedule. We will keep you updated if there are any changes. So they already know there might be a delay on it. This is supposedly for the end of April. I don't know if it's this stuff that they've listed underneath this, I'm guessing it is, because of where they've put that little paragraph. But they already know that there's possibly a delay on this stuff. So the exotics and talent changes. There's one thing they haven't mentioned in this which I strongly believe needs fixing, and a lot of players because of the damage glitch will know this. They need to fix the Bighorn. It's a legendary only drop. It's a small, it's a 5% chance to get that thing to drop when you're playing legendary. And once you get it to drop, I've said this, I think, in a couple of videos now, you can literally run an AR and a rifle separately and they'll deal more damage than the exotic legendary Bighorn. But the changes they are doing, Sawyer's knee pads, they've reworked them. You cannot be staggered by explosions. They've increased the total weapon damage by 3% each second you are not moving, stacks up to 10 times, and stacks are lost when you move. This exotic only provides defensive attributes and no brand bonus, so now has potential for high damage and makes it appealing to both red and blue builds. I mean, you can't make it appealing to blue builds because blue builds are shit. They've been thrown out the window ever since Warlords come about because blue builds and some skill builds, depending on what you're running, are just completely obsolete. They're fully out of date, pointless running. DPS, again, in this game is the way forward. Even though they keep stating that build viability and diversity all comes into play, it doesn't. It's not a factor at all. Run reds. They have stated the old version didn't provide enough engaging gameplay. This change should help with that. I don't think reworking Sawyer's knee pads is going to provide engaging gameplay. They've buffed the Imperial Dynasty. They've reduced the cooldown to 35 seconds from 40. Okay, so we've got 5 seconds less to wait to burn the closet enemy. And that buff is to better compensate for the lack of brand bonus. Okay. Dodge City Gunslinger holster, they've reduced the charge up time to 30 seconds down from 50, and it's again to better compensate for the lack of brand bonus. The Diamond Back, it now grants all shots guaranteed crits for 5 seconds after hitting a mark. So if you can spam with the Diamond Back, I mean, you've got 5 rounds before you have to start reloading. You should hopefully be able to fire all 5, with them being guaranteed crits after you hit your mark. The Diamondback is underperforming, and this change should make the bonus a bit more exciting. I really don't think it's going to. I mean, that's if you've got the Diamondback. A lot of players don't have it because Kenley College is down. They've closed it down and it just says there is no known time for it to come back up. It was supposed to be on a 2-week down, 1-week up cycle, and it just constantly says, we don't know when when we're next becoming available. You're just going to have to go do other stuff. So a lot of players don't have the Diamondback. Exotic drop rates are trash. So it's not going to make the bonus a bit more exciting when players don't have the bloody gun to use. The Merciless / the Ruthless, they buffed it. The explosion damage has increased to 1200%, up from 900%. I've not even touched my Merciless rifle since I've had it. I don't really use the exotics besides the Pestilence. That's the only one that seems to be worthwhile running. And then they've reworked Tag Team. The last enemy you have damaged with a skill is marked. I don't know what their obsession is with marking enemies, but dealing weapon damage to that enemy consumes the mark to reduce active cooldowns by 6 seconds. The cooldown is 4 seconds. It does not consume the mark if no skill is on cooldown. I mean, that's going to be pretty good if you're running a skill build, especially seeing as now the Seekers have like, I don't know, a 25-35 second bloody cooldown. They've buffed Reassigned. Killing an enemy adds 1 round of a random special ammo into your sidearm. I mean, okay, but what's the point? It's a sidearm. Put it into our primaries. It's a video game. Let us have some fun with it. They reduced the cooldown to 15 seconds from 20. They've reworked Tamper Proof. Enemies that walk within 3 meters of your hive, turret or remote pulse are shocked. The arm time is 2 seconds. They've increased the cooldown per skill to 10 seconds up from 5. Even though we are adjusting NPCs not rushing towards skills as much, this talent gives players the ability to be more lenient when placing their skills to gain the effect without turning themselves into a grenade. And the penultimate thing is a buff to Empathic Resolve. Repairing an ally increases their total weapon damage and skill damage by 3 to 15% for 20 seconds, up from 10 seconds, 1 to 7% if it's yourself. Currently, it is difficult to keep a high uptime in 4-man content as non-tank players try to be as safe as possible and NPCs have higher lethality. So chip damage is less frequent. This buff is also meant to make Empathic Resolve able to better compete versus the true Patriot debuffs. This buff is also. Then finally, Creeping Death. Like, this is a really long video, I do apologise, but I wanted to cover all of these patch notes because the notes list isn't actually that big. I'm hoping with this there are going to be more notes to add, and this isn't just the stuff that they've worked on, they've got it already, and they're just going to release it in a month's time. But Creeping Death, when you apply a status effect, it's also applied to all enemies within 8 meters up from 5 of your target. They reduce the cooldown to 15 seconds from 20. As we continue work, we will update you with further posts and additional planned fixes when we can confirm them. We want to thank you for all the feedback and detailed reports, it helps us a lot. I mean, it would help if they actually listened. Like, a lot of people on Twitter have said that it's deaf ears with the devs. Like, we could put out complaint after complaint and they don't listen. And again, they keep saying, we are listening, we're doing this, we're doing that. Fix the hives. It's affecting so many players and they're just not listening. There are so many things wrong with this game at the moment. It's so broken, it's unbelievable. But as I said, the video's been incredibly long, so I'm not going to sit there rambling on about my thoughts. I've pretty much stated it as we've been progressing through this video anyway. So the video is going to end there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.